Hey everyone, in my last video I showed you how to physically remove the 4th gen Toyota Sienna's second row seats so that you can carry extra cargo or camp in your car, etc. I mentioned that the seats actually have airbags in them, which is why we had to temporarily disconnect the battery before unplugging them from the car. What I did not make clear was what to do about the airbag warning message once the seat was removed. This is the message I'm talking about. It appears on the gauge cluster screen, and even if you dismiss it, it comes right back a few seconds later. A similar message shows up on the infotainment screen as well. The car knows that one or more of its airbags are missing since they're gone with the seats. Fortunately though, it doesn't make any continuous beeping noise. I've also heard some people say that whenever one or more airbags are missing, the whole airbag system stops working. I haven't been able to verify this, but I'm going to err on the side of caution here and assume it is true. The rest of this video goes into how I came up with a solution. If you only care about the solution itself, look no further than this airbag simulator dongle I designed. Just plug it in and it'll make the error go away and make sure your airbag system works like normal. To remove it, just push down on this tab here and pull it out, just like Toyota's original connector. You can buy these from my website or eBay store, linked in the description. But since this is an engineering and DIY channel, I'm also going to show you the process behind developing this product. Now, I first looked for an off-the-shelf solution, something that can make the car believe the second row seat airbags are still present so it behaves normally and doesn't give the error. The way that's done is by simulating the presence of an airbag using a resistor of similar resistance. That happens to be 2.2 ohms for most airbag systems. I found a couple of pre-existing products for this purpose. The first one is this generic airbag simulator dongle sold on Amazon, eBay, etc. Glued inside its plastic housing is simply this 2.2 ohm resistor. Unfortunately, both its pins and its body are too thick to plug into the Sienna's connector. So I tried plugging a resistor directly into the connector. It worked, but the connection was too loose, and I noticed that the airbag warning message came back sometimes. I also found this tiny thing from an eBay seller in Poland. It took a few weeks to arrive to my US home, but it did work pretty well. Inside this heat shrink tubing, it's actually an SMD resistor soldered onto a pin header. I liked this one the best, but it was so tiny and finicky to plug and unplug and kind of janky. One common problem all these solutions have is the lack of positive locking. This means all of them can be simply pulled straight out at any time by anyone. For something important like an airbag system, you'd want some positive locking mechanism that requires a specific set of steps to disconnect, so that any successful disconnection can only be intentional. I think this is especially important for the Sienna since you've got the wire harness sitting out in the open in a cabin that may be occupied by young children or guests. To make my positive locking airbag simulator, I first measured the geometry of the connector that Toyota uses on the seat. I used a photo of the connector to guide me in recreating its shape in CAD. I took inspiration from the Polish product's use of a pin header and SMD resistor, but I chose to use a longer pin header and a physically bigger resistor rated for 2 watts to make it more robust. I created these pinholes and the slot for the pin header to install into. I chamfered the pinhole's entry point to help it self-align. I dog-boned the corners of the header slot to counteract FDM's natural tendency of rounding inner corners. I added this knurling-like pattern on the rear of the dongle to make it easy to grip and unplug. Initially, I planned to use glue or sealant to seal the back of the resistor, but manually injecting it was messy and time-consuming, so I designed this circular hole and this TPU plug that simply gets pushed in for a watertight seal. I print the shells from Prusament PC Blend, which is a polycarbonate-based plastic mixture that withstands high temperatures and UV radiation. Great for automotive use. It's surprisingly easy to print, and the quality is superb. I solder the resistor onto the pin header and press it into the slot. I check that the resistance is still correct. Then I plug it up. So that's how I make these airbag simulator dongles for the 4th gen Toyota Sienna. They'll probably also work with other vehicles that use the same connector, but I've tested it with only the Sienna. If you find this useful in some other car, please let me know in the comments. You can buy these from my website or my eBay store. Both are linked in the description. By the way, I'm still trying to raise funds for the Ottoman conversion project, where I use my parents' car as a guinea pig to figure out how to convert these seats to have the extendable Ottoman leg rests, which are available on only the front-wheel drive Sienna models. I need to purchase the relevant parts, figure out how to add them to these all-wheel drive version seats, then publish an instructional guide for all of you. Please consider supporting that project if you'd like to see that happen. I hope you found this video helpful. Feel free to ask me any questions in the comments, and be sure to check for any updates, corrections, or FAQs in the description. Thanks for watching.